a cabal of secret societies has controlled the world for 200 plus years, and we get to be alive at a time to see it fall. I believe in the power of one person working as a team with other Christian patriots can have massive impact in reversing this ungodly culture. I believe that we have an omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent God that has put his hand on this moment in time to deny the timeline of the enemy and is about to heal our land. This is Rick, your host, and I believe that God has called me to empower Christian patriots with truth. Join us now for the Blessed to Teach show, and let's see what God is doing today.
Deception floods our airwaves, but Faith and Freedom TV fights back with truth. Our bold content, news, shows, Bible teachings, worship, and films shines with biblical conviction and patriotic courage, free from globalist lies. We empower Christian patriot creators to share faith and liberty. Access thousands of videos on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS. Join the battle at faithandfreedom.tv.
Welcome, it's Rick B2T here. We're going to be empowering Christian patriots with truth the next few hours. First hour, we're going to be getting into the news and give an update on quite a few things. A great election sting. I've been talking about this since 2020, November, after that stolen election. Thought that would happen a lot quicker in 2021. But here we are in 2025, and it's happening. And I've got proof and receipts. We're going to be digging into that. So is Tulsi going to expose the CIA? We know China is exposed, Serbia is exposed, Venezuela, Iran's exposed on interfering with our elections. But the CIA has been involved too, and there's a lot of pressure on her not to expose it. Will she expose it? I also got an economic update coming from Kirk Elliott to talk about what the Fed is doing right now, what this Babylonian system collapse is going to look like. We'll get a lot more detail on that over the next few weeks from Larry Ballard as well. That's going to be exclusive, though, only on Faith and Freedom TV that I just talked about. Faith with the N, freedom.tv. We're going to start having an exclusive show with Larry Ballard on that every week, not taking anything away from you guys on Rumble and on all the other platforms we're going on. But you'll only find this on Faith and Freedom TV. So that's a strategy to amplify other people's voices. We have to get people into the Faith and Freedom TV app. So that's one thing to really think about. You might as well download that app. It really helped this ministry grow and amplify other people's voices. If your heart is to help get the truth out and of Christian patriots that have been silenced by elite media, I need your help. Download the Faith and Freedom TV app on your TV and your mobile. And then you can also bookmark it on your website. There'll be exclusive content coming from all these content providers, including Larry Ballard and myself, every single Thursday. So you'll start missing that if you have not downloaded the app. That is part of our strategy to make sure we get more people to download it, give it 5-star reviews, and get the momentum going to where we can create a full media network ministry. Can't do that without your help. Appreciate your help by starting out with just downloading the app and giving it 5-star reviews. We would appreciate that. All right, let's get into some breaking news on this. Adam Schiff. Wow, Shifty Shift. There he is. Adam Schiff sets up a legal defense fund as the mortgage fraud probe escalates. So, yeah, he's going to get nailed for a lot more than mortgage fraud, I guarantee you, because the whole classified information leaks, it's all treason. It's not going to be mortgage fraud, dude. There's his big eyes. I love that picture. It is going to be what happened at the Standard Hotel, which Q dropped about us, and that comes back to crimes against children. I believe that's something that will likely come up. But definitely he was leaking classified information, which has now been documented heavily. This is going to grand juries, guys. this is eventually going to I believe in military tribunals, because this is not just treason, it's crimes against humanity as well. When you add those two together, that is not going to be done in a civil court. And so you guys let me know what you think, but I believe that is coming soon. Here he is. He's formed a legal defense fund as the Justice Department investigation into alleged mortgage fraud begins heating up. Schiff is accused of listing a Maryland property he owns as a primary residence while refinancing a loan to get cheaper rates. Again, that's just basic mortgage fraud is what that is all about. And now Eileen on Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division have concluded that Adam Schiff has engaged in substantial pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff had said that his primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. So interesting mortgage fraud movement there. That's the least of his crimes. It's just another reason to highlight, Shifty Schiff. And he was in the House of Representatives when this all happened, and was what part of the Gang of Eight, one of the most powerful congressmen and then he got elected into the Senate even after all his criminality. So, but I think this is just what's all about. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I think Trump's going, sure, go ahead and go into the Senate. when you're out of there for all this fraud, we're going to have an open seat. And by this time, maybe we'll have non-selection machines and actually have fair elections. Then we'll see who gets elected into your little California Senate position. It's clear that Donald Trump and his MAGA allies will continue weaponizing the justice process to attack Senator Schiff for holding his corrupt administration accountable. Schiff holding Trump accountable. Give me a break. He's been lying to the media about Trump from the beginning, and this is going to result in great exposure of the truth. Isn't that what we're all about? Can't wait till all this happens. Here's Trump's truth saying, Secretary Scott Bessent, and then just a little quote from him.
Security guarantees go back to Friday, President Trump's meeting with President Putin in Alaska. And President Trump has wanted to end this conflict that never would have started if he had been president. And he convinced President Putin about the security guarantees, that it is what the Europeans call coalition of the willing. The U.S. will not have boots on the ground, may provide some kind of air support, satellite support. And then yesterday, President Trump came in with a plan. He doesn't do these things randomly. And he knew what he had to do with President Zelensky. It was a very good meeting.
That wasn't flattery. The flattery argument on the part of NBC.
Laura, please. It goes back to, again, in Alaska, that President Trump made a mistake inviting President Putin on U.S. soil, or the flattery. It's all they're demeaning themselves because President Trump wants to be a peacemaker. He's done 6 peace deals. He knows how to do this. He went in with a plan. We had a long pregame in the Oval beforehand. He had a strategy the whole time. And I don't think it's flattery. I actually think it's deference. Because they understand that President Trump is the only person in the world who can stop this conflict. Security guarantee.
That's exactly right. I love that. President Trump is the only person in the world who can stop this conflict. I agree with that so much, and it's just so awesome to see some people really coming out and telling the truth on all this. And hey, guys, this is sponsored by the Kirk Elliott Precious Metals. This financial collapse, Larry Baldwin and I are going to be doing a full series on this. This financial collapse is coming. Because just think about it, we're in so much debt, they're going to have to, if you have a hyperinflation of the dollar, that debt pretty much starts being wiped out, right? So they're going to let the hyperinflation of the fiat dollar go wild, and they're going to be creating this new dividend dollar or something similar to that, right? And that's what I believe is going to be happening here in the very short term. And Larry Ballard's going to be confirming this. He'll be on tomorrow night, and then exclusively every Thursday on the Faith and Freedom platform. So so understand how precious metals. He's gonna get Larry's gonna be talking about three things. He's gonna be talking about you need to get some silver, you need to get some crypto, probably XRP, and also some currency. Not a lot of money, just a little bit of those. But precious metals is a big part of this whole wealth transfer, I believe, as well as a big part of what you need to do when this hyperinflation happens. You can have real assets and don't buy EFTs. It's not any good to buy a silver EFT. That's paper, right? You need to have the physical stuff. So understand that difference. Get a free consultation from Kirk Elliott, 720-605-3900. Again, Kirk will be on to give more detail on what his latest thinking is on this whole Fed. Are they going to lower their interest rates, etc.? You can go to kepm.com/B2T as well, but it's easier just to call him. Say, Rick B2T sent me, and they'll prioritize you. 720-605-3900. Just get your free consultation, even if you're not sure, if you don't have enough money. It's a matter of just getting smarter. This is a service that Kirk loves to give to his clients, to give that free consultations, especially to Christian patriots, right? Hey, guys, this is the main part of what I wanted to emphasize. This is exciting to me. You remember I did a detailed analysis of what this is an hour and 37-minute video that Patrick Byrne did several months ago. I think it was, April 3rd. And this was so exciting because this is on the Roseanne Barr show, and I went over the details of this about exactly how they stole the 2020 election. Again, we know they do voter fraud through the dead people and illegal immigrants and inflating the voter roll so that the machines can match it up, right? But they have actually virtual machine that can run in there. That's a chip that's made in China, that's assembled in Taiwan, that will actually fire up a virtual machine where they can change results, and it goes in and out, and you can't even track it. It's not there anymore, right? So Patrick Byrne gives the details of this in this long broadcast, and I'm going to summarize what Patrick Byrne told us here. And then there was a big update yesterday with even more detail in how the CIA is involved and how many and the countries that we've destroyed with these selection machines. Okay, so let's dig into the details of this. So to recap some of this, I'm going to come to the screen and talk about this in simple terms, because this is going to summarize this hour and 37 minutes and give you an update as well. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. We know that in 2016, somehow the White Hats unrigged what I believe what it is. They unrigged the blue wall, right, where you had a third-party candidate in there that and all her votes, pretty much all of them, would be moved from her to Hillary. That was the plan. That's what they've done in the past. And the blue wall was almost impossible to get through. And they said, there's no way Trump's going to win. 99.6% chance Trump's going to win. Blah, blah, blah. We heard that all in 2016. Trump wins. They're shocked. They're trying to keep him from even getting elected. And now we're seeing all the Tulsi Gabbard stuff being released to show that they had planned for him to not even be able to take office in January 20th. Right? And that is why they did everything with all the stars, trying to get the elector votes the electors not to vote that you're a Republican or elector, but you can switch your vote, right? And all that campaign and trying to show you that this is an existential threat. Trump is going to ruin everything. And they've started the crossfire hurricane, and boom, you're into the Russia hoax, full blast, especially with a fake intelligence assessment that they did in December 9th. And a bunch of us go to January 6th and protest the stolen election, and they do a huge false flag with people in MAGA hats and the Fed all over there, a complete saying no National Guards, and then they do the false flag for the cover-up of the crime. Then they do the select committee to cover up of the crime. And I was doing all this time going to the great election fraud. I know that the White Hats are too smart. They've got this all captured. They are going to sting them and capture all these people that have been stealing elections. And here we go. Had to go for God was smarter than us, right? He said, I am going to show them, because sometimes you can't tell them, you have to show them. And they showed us. They showed us through what? Through massive amounts of just chaos, and what it's really like to be under a government that is the elites, and what they don't love the people. Then they're gonna have open borders. They're going to have child trafficking all over the place. Drugs are going to be pouring in, and we're going to destroy the country overnight, because we'll have to catch up, because we had a 16-year plan to destroy America with 8 years of Obama and 8 years of Hillary, and it got interrupted by Trump. Now we got back in, kicked him out with the manufactured COVID and pandemic, and go to all these mail-in ballots, and then the machine fraud came in. All that happened. Okay, so now here we are, and Patrick Byrne lets everybody know, guys, many of the black hats in Serbia that were doing the virtual machine with those China chips, the Huawei chips, right? They actually flipped. They flipped, and they're in Gitmo, and they've given all kinds of depositions. They've been interviewed with General Flynn, many other people. Now they've correlated everything with the NSA, and Tulsi Gabbard has it now. Okay, that's big information. And as you know, Tulsi's already started the process of declassification, declass on all these different things, to where we're going to pull all the way to Epstein. And so here's the order I believe things are going to happen. Okay, you're going to each one of these. They first did all the declass to show Brennan knew and was all part of the starting of Crossfire Hurricane and pushing the Russia hoax. Then they showed that James Comey completely guilty with emails and receipts and after receipt after receipt. Then they showed Clapper, the DNI, right? Obviously you had the CIA and FBI. So you have CIA, FBI, and the DNI all colluding. And then they exposed Obama. Obama knew it all about it. And they showed how all four of them, including all the people that were working with them, how they actually tried to take out a sitting president of the United States. First a candidate and then a president. And they did that and continued it and continued. That is going to move all the way to the Russia hoax, all the way to the impeachments and the perfect phone call in Ukraine and all the corruption in Ukraine, including the biolabs and everything they're doing with human trafficking there and all the laundering of money. And then they'll move right into the 2020 election still, including COVID and all the mail-in ballots and the machine fraud, which will lead us then to the Epstein and the uniting of this country because of all the things they've done to our children. Even when the liberals learn what they've done, they will finally unite about taking this criminal syndicate down. Okay, but how did they do this? So now let's just real quickly go over how they do this. They take that little chip and they do a virtual machine to be able to change things, flip votes, whatever they need to do after all the other cheating's been done, and they need to figure out what needs to be done at the end. That's why they shut down all the machines in 2020, and at the same time, figured out what algorithms they needed to run, go insert ballots, and then have the machines come in and do the virtual machines to change the vote so the votes match the voter rolls. So during an audit, it would actually look like there was no fraud when there was massive fraud from the selection machines. Okay, now we know we have people that actually did this in Serbia, that actually said how they did this. And they actually told General Flynn they've done this in 72 countries, the United States and 71 other countries. Okay, and what's the criminal cabal that's done this? Venezuela started this all the way back 20 years ago, and they started doing it in our local elections first. That's just why people on your school board, people in your local areas, all happen to somehow be socialists, communists, leftists, right? And then they moved it to the state level, and then they moved to the federal level. And by 2020, they were able to take us out completely. And that's what they did. And so now, but then they also were expanding to all the different countries as well. So it went from Venezuela into the U.S. as well as all these other countries. Again, run by Serbia, mainly but through China. And so you had, and then you had also Iran involved. So Iran and China were involved here, subverting our elections with Venezuela. So that's all foreign stuff. So we're national emergency now because of the election and the foreign interference, and that is going to expand. It's going to be treason. The question is, how does that relate to the CIA? And that's the new information that we get right now. So I'm going to move over to give you more insight to exactly how this all happened, which is quite exciting. So let's listen to this first of two from yesterday. He was on Lindell TV, and here he is in a little 6.5-minute video, and we'll analyze this. But the summary is this. He revealed Smartmatic's original systems were built around an office in Belgrade, Serbia, nearly 20 years ago. From there, results could be changed remotely after all ballot stuffing and local fraud. It is their ace in the hole, Patrick Byrne said. If their candidate still does not win, they flip and switch in Serbia. General Flynn was told directly by insiders in Europe who admitted we have been manipulating elections for 20 years in 72 nations. Serbia's hub is used Huawei. As you can see, that's a Chinese tech company, telecom company called Huawei, Huawei, Huawei. Serbia used the Huawei tech tied to Venezuela's rigged elections and later embedded into Dominion, ESNS, and HART. So you can see it doesn't matter which of the companies it is. ESNS is in Texas and Dominion's in here and HART's here, but they all have the derivative of either Smartmatic or Sequoia systems, which originated all the way back. Russia and China both, he's thinking Russia knew about this. China was really controlled Serbia though. And so Venezuela, Serbia, even Iran comes involved here. But here, this is the big update from what I reported on in April.
You want me to tell you something? Even the government hasn't figured out.
I always love when you drop nuggets.
Yeah, it's all really has always been. The government does literally not know this yet because it didn't ask the right questions. But I'm just tired of waiting. Flynn told me, no longer wait. You give the government something, give them 2 or 3 days, and then you go public with it. This was all always out of Serbia. Even the original hacking of Venezuelans' own elections, everything was architected. So there's an office in Belgrade, Serbia, with Huawei machines that are actually running the computer, the deepest rig of all, the rig that comes from overseas, not the stuff we all know about, getting dead people to vote and getting, not all that on the ground stuff that we beat by tightening up all the enforcement in every county in America and all that stuff we're hearing about. But the nuke they always had was there's an office in Serbia that comes into the back of the machines and changes results if they still need to change them after they did all the ground cheating they need to. That's been like this, it turns out, from the beginning in Venezuela. It's always been architected. Smartmatic was always architected around an office in Belgrade, Serbia, to be able to come in and do this. And then as other companies as other brands came on the market, it's all Smartmatic junk inside, whether it's HART or Dominion or ESNS. As that's on the market, that Belgrade, those are just different hood ornaments on the same machines. And so the Belgrade, Serbia office is not some recent invention. It's been architected into the Venezuela since the 04 referendum. It's been architected in from the beginning. And the United States government doesn't even know that because they're so slow in coming up to speed. Now, I don't mean to offend them, and I'm very pleased that they are coming up to speed, but I just can't take it anymore. The amount of stuff we still know that they haven't gotten to because they are so slow in digesting information.
Okay, let me ask you, Patrick, how does the government not know this? Because I know that there's communications with Serbia. There's other people who have reported on other aspects of this. That's part of the public record. Okay, so I'm not saying something that's not part of the public record. So how does the government not know?
The government knows all about Serbia now and the role Serbia played in 2020, okay. And they know all that now. What they didn't know, and I didn't know until 72 hours ago, was this Serbian evolution it's not some recent evolution. It was Venezuela designed its systems around this Serbian office back 20 years ago.
Woo!
Which is very interesting because now
brand new stuff.
Serbia is really the western edge of the Chinese. It's the westernmost satellite of the Chinese empire. Serbia is right now. So given that we've seen Serbia in all this stuff in the last 5 to 10 years, I was saying that's got to be China. If it was architected around Serbia 20 years ago, that's when Serbia was more of a, well, it was a Chinese-Russian joint holding. That puts Russia in the middle of this as well. Russia, now I'm not saying the 2020 or the 2024 they were involved in, but if this has been operating for 20 years out of Serbia, then it's been doing so. Russian intelligence knows about it as well as Chinese intelligence.
This kind of goes back to, you mentioned all the other companies. This goes back to what somebody, it may have been you and I were talking. I talk about this every day with someone. You can't say voting machines, really. It's the software, right? And the software is a derivative of the original Smartmatic, and that's in every single voting machine, some kind of version of it, right?
Correct. It's like the Windows operating system of these machines. Exactly. And, even the fact that it's made people.
So how Serbia, does it play into all of them then, or is it just one company?
No. Serbia plays into all of them. Serbia plays into all of them now. But the thing is, you need to understand there's ways of cheating on the ground that you and Mike Lindell have been following for 4 years. And all these turning over all the ways they cheat on the ground, from stuffing voter records and voting them and the mail-in, this, that. But at the end of the day, they've got this switch they can throw from Serbia and force at the end. So they cheat all they can to get their candidate to win. But if he doesn't win, at the end of the day, they just force it anyway from Serbia. So that's their ace in the hole.
Yes.
And what I did not know until the last 72 hours was their involvement is not a recent thing. It's been in for 20 years. They've been involved, which from an intelligence point of view.
If they've been in rigging elections for 20 years, how many elections have they impacted?
Oh, I can tell you one of the most dramatic moments of this that has to be in the movie was last summer.
Now, I reported on this in April, but it's good to relive this because this is important. How many countries have been affected?
I was over in a safe house in Europe with a bunch of people who are like very knowledgeable from this industry, from the bad guys. Got bad guys to flip. And they were with me in a safe house, all protected by gunmen and stuff. And Mike Flynn came over to see them. He came over and he took 2 days and came down to see me. And but we spent 90 minutes with these people. And these are people who've been doing this. And I said, General Flynn, I haven't told you this story, have I? This was one of the most dramatic moments where I said, remember, you're going to meet these people that kind of overthrew our country. Don't get angry. You're going to want to get angry. Don't get. He said, of course. I've interrogated people. I said, okay, well, we sat there for 90 minutes, and he's so poker face. He's so wonderful. He was very kind and gentle, and I could tell he was steaming, but he was keeping his composure. But he was steaming at what he was hearing. And we were about to leave. And he was satisfied. He had asked all the engineers all the questions, and he was satisfied he was hearing the truth. I said, before we left, I told one of the engineers, tell the general how much this has been going on. And this guy kind of gulped, and he looked General Flynn in the eyes, and he said, sir, General, we've been manipulating elections for 20 years in 72 nations.
Woo! 72 nations. So just think about that. This is their plan: destroy America and bring in the one world government. That's what they're really trying to do. You got to destroy America and bring in the one world government. Now the big question is, so here you have Serbia clearly working with Venezuela, working with China, controlled by China, which was linked into Iran, a little bit to Russia probably, but more China, Russia. China, a little bit of Iran. Venezuela, basically manipulating the United States elections, and 71 other countries, so 72 in total. Okay, that is pretty crazy when you think about that. But that's just the beginning. So when the next clip starts getting into what does the CIA involved and what's the news around that. So let me flip over to that video. Again, this is all new stuff that came out yesterday. In fact, I'm going to do that post getting in with Kirk Elliott on a financial collapse and what's really happening. Because again, Larry Ballard's basically predicting that that they're going to hyperinflate out of the debt, and that we're going to be moving over to a whole new financial system, whole new dollar, out of the fiat dollar, and what's that mean for you? How do you protect yourself, right? And part of that is making sure you understand precious metals. It's a critical part of this, guys. If you haven't done anything, why not have a free consultation that doesn't cost you anything to get smarter on it, right? That's what I'd like to dig into with Kirk Elliott here, who's joined us. So Kirk, how are you doing today? Now you're still on mute, it looks like. There you go.
I am on mute. Sorry. I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, doing awesome. So thanks for joining us, because the Fed battle is still on. They won't lower interest rates. And I have other insight about just a full hyperinflating out of the debt as a plan that Trump's going to be doing. And I'll be doing a big series on that next month. But give us your thoughts on what's going on out there.
Well, it's obvious that the Fed doesn't want Trump to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not caring about the American public. They're not caring about so many Americans who can't even afford their mortgage payments, right? Can't afford to buy a new house. It's like lower interest rates for crying out loud. So what's interesting though is you had Kugler, Federal Reserve Board of Governors governor, that decided, I'm gonna quit. And I'm going to go back to teaching politics at Georgetown or wherever.
Yeah, what's up? Right? What's up with that? That's a good news for us, right?
Literally out of the blue. So here's where this is divine intervention. This is God making a way where there seems to be no way, right? So Trump is battling Powell and, calling names, and he's slow and he doesn't do anything and he's stupid and whatever, because he's not lowering interest rates. But here's where I think God is saying, all right, we don't have to focus on Powell. Let's actually just change the makeup of the Board of Governors, because there's 7 of those governors that vote to raise or lower the money supply, to raise or lower interest rates. And out of the blue, she decides she's going to resign. So Trump said, well, let's replace her with somebody who he knows, chief of the Council of Economic Advisors, who is part of Trump 1.0 administration. He wrote the Mar-a-Lago Accord. He's pro-tariffs, and you know what? He's going to vote to lower interest rates. Right? So it's like, okay, maybe this is the deciding vote. Well, then this morning comes out that one of the other governors on the Board of Governors is under massive investigation for mortgage fraud. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? When you're a public official, especially in charge of money at the Federal Reserve, don't you think that you would actually follow the monetary rules? It's like, but God is exposing so much darkness, right? And darkness can't coexist with light. And when God shows up, things start happening. So here's another one. Trump asked for her immediate resignation. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we could get 2 people in there. And what does this mean? It means you might not have to worry about Jerome Powell. But now the list came out of 11 people that Trump is basically putting on the table to replace Jerome Powell. 2 of them I don't think are legit considerations, just because they've already voted against lowering interest rates. I don't think they are going to be appointed by the president, right? So, but things are moving in a good direction for Trump. He keeps winning and winning and winning and winning, and lies keep getting exposed constantly. This is just God's way, right? So, but here's where you had asked about or brought up the concept of hyperinflating ourselves out of this, right? So part of the Mar-a-Lago Accord, mm-hmm. which Stephen Mirren, who Trump is putting temporarily on the Board of Governors, who is his chief economic advisor, what is one of the purposes of the Mar-a-Lago Accord? To actually devalue the U.S. dollar. It's like, well, why would you want to devalue the U.S. dollar? Isn't that anti-American? It's like, no. All it has to do with the value of the dollar compared to other currencies. Right. If our dollar is cheaper, other currencies are relatively more valuable. It takes less of their currency to buy U.S. goods. So what would it do? It would increase our exports.
Right.
When we're when the world is buying our stuff because we have a weaker currency, jobs always follow manufacturing. So if they're buying our stuff, we're going to have to hire more people. When we hire more people, there's more people spending, right? So this is incredible times that we're living in. Now, what happened 2 weeks ago was Trump actually increased demand for the US dollar when the whole world is de-dollarizing. It was starting with the BRICS nations. They don't want this thinking US dollar in their opinion. It was like, why would we buy the US dollar? They got way too much debt. There's way too many deficits. We want to replace the dollar, so we're going to start dumping it. We're going to trash its value. Well, that's been working. The dollar's down 10% year to date as the world de-dollarizes itself. What did Trump do with the Stablecoin Act and with the Genius Act? Basically, the issuance of stablecoins, which is US dollar attached to a cryptocurrency token, will give it demand because now it's available on the blockchain. It's not just printed money anymore. It's now digital dollars that Trump just created demand for. And not only that, but the Federal Reserve back in 1913 took away the creation of money from Congress. You know, and said, well, we're just this private cartel owning families that we're going to print the money, right? So it was illegal to actually have any currency that was minted, official currency that minted by somebody else. In this sense, and stablecoins, you're still using the US dollar, but it can be created by PayPal or Circle with USDC or Tether with USDT or the Trump administration with, or not administration, but his companies with USD1 or the Gemini stablecoin. See, there's all these different companies that actually are issuing stablecoins, right? It creates demand for the dollar. Now, it starts to get really interesting, right? So on August 7th, was it August 7th? August 7th, okay. Trump signed an executive order democratizing access to alternative assets for 401k investors. To me, this is the biggest news to hit the cryptocurrency and precious metals world ever. Ever. So what is it? He's basically blessed to teach viewers know that, well, we've been able to put physical gold and silver in IRAs, but you could never do it in a 401k. Right. Like if y'all called me and said, hey, Kirk, I have this 401k. What can you do for me? It's like, are you over 59 and a half? No, I'm 50. Do you still work there? Yeah, I still work there. It's my job. Sorry, can't do anything. Literally couldn't do anything until they're over 59 and a half, or they decide they're going to quit.
Right? Or they change jobs, right? And then
they change jobs.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, and your 401ks, they usually have like 20 options that you can pick from, and you don't get to pick them. The administrator picks them, and you get to pick out of that bucket that they choose.
Right.
Well, what did Trump just do? He just came up with this executive order, and I'm going to read you a few things from it. Section 3. What assets are now going to be allowed in 401ks? Private market instruments, direct and indirect interest in equity, debt, and other financial instruments that are not traded on public exchanges. That's over-the-counter stuff. That could be penny stocks. It's basically anything at this point, right? Number 2, direct and indirect interest in real estate. Okay, you can now own real estate in your 401k. 3, holding and actively managed investment vehicles that are investing in digital assets. That's cryptocurrency. Right, so he just opened the door to cryptocurrency in a 401k. Next one, direct and indirect investments in commodities. What's a commodity? Gold and silver is a commodity, right? So what's direct and indirect? Indirect would be like owning a gold or silver ETF. It's not actually owning the actual metal. It's an indirect way of owning the commodity. What's a direct way? Actually owning the commodity is how I would interpret that. Same with a house. Instead of an indirect way of owning real estate through a real estate investment trust, you can probably just own your house in your 401k, right? This is already a possibility in IRAs. People don't generally know it. but just not in 401ks. So what did Trump do? $12.2 trillion market is the 401k world that's now going to have access to alternative assets, gold, silver, crypto, real estate. Those alternative asset classes should absolutely go through the roof because of the increased demand. What's going to happen to the stock market?
Is that right now? Is that right now? You could actually have that, or is that going to be implemented later?
No. Part B says within 180 days of the date of this order. So It was signed on August 7th. So that would be like February 6th.
Okay.
It becomes effective. So let's call it February of 2026. All of this becomes active.
Wow.
Right. So what are people going to do? Mm-hmm. It's not like your $250 every paycheck that you're contributing to your 401k you're going to use. No. People like all of us, people all over the world, not just us, they're saying, I've always wanted to invest in crypto.
Right.
I just can't. All my money is in my 401k. What are they going to do? They're going to sell their stocks, bonds, and mutual funds that they've owned and put it into the other alternative assets because they finally can. This should probably tank the stock market. Mm-hmm. Literally. The selling pressure should cause it to correct massively, but the other asset classes should go up massively.
Right.
So here's where, as you think about the dynamics of the market, I don't think I would have stocks, a big position in them coming up to February when this becomes law, right? And becomes the lay of the land. I would start locking in your profits and get ready to roll into, and even if you don't have a 401k, how are you going to benefit from this? If you own precious metals anyhow, anyway, the demand is going to cause the prices to go up because Trump just opened up a $12.2 trillion marketplace that now that's been so hungry and thirsty for alternative assets that they're going to be able to go into them. This is the biggest news I think that I've seen for alternative assets, gold, silver, crypto, in forever. And this is amazing.
Because like you said, it's like so many people have stuff and you don't want EFTs, right? These EFTs are just paper.
No, you don't want EFTs
now you
at
can
all.
have real assets in your 401k, right?
Correct. What it looks like to me. Now, that's not specifically defined what a direct ownership of a commodity is, but that's how I'd interpret it.
Yeah.
But let's just say, play devil's advocate. Well, you can't do physical gold and silver in your 401k. So what? The stock market coming down because people are going to reallocate into real estate and crypto, which is specifically said, gold and silver act as a flight for quality. So as the stock market comes down, people are going to want to pull out and they're going to go into something that's safe and something that's better. And so the demand for gold and silver, regardless of how that's defined, is going to be incredible for those who own it.
Yeah, and that's just one of many factors, right? If the whole thing I'm looking at is the big boy of the financial system collapse, and which could be the wealth part of the wealth transfer, right? But hyperinflation, obviously, the same thing happens to your gold and silver, right?
Absolutely.
And the other thing that's unique about this is, unlike some assets like real estate, real estate's not very liquid. Right, with the high interest rates, or that you have to get somebody to buy your property. Same with buying silver and gold, rare coins. Right.
Yes.
That's not liquid because you have to find somebody that wants that specific rare coin that you bought at 50%. That you paid some salesperson 50-80% margins. Right. So that's what one thing, guys, is to understand is Kurt deals only in bullion. So you're going to have the maximum amount of silver for the least storage cost at the high, and it's all liquid. Within 3 or 4 days, boom, you can sell it to anywhere because it's all going to be just right around that spot price, right? And so and it has no back end commission. So be careful of all the gold and silver guys trying to sell you rare coins. That's a big problem in this industry, is it not?
It's absolutely ridiculous. The amount of invoices that I've seen of people that were paying $80 an ounce plus for silver when silver was in the 20s, it's
Wow.
disgusting. It churns my stomach. It's so bad
Mm-hmm.
because they're not going to recover from that, right? They're not going to recover. If there's no market for it, you're going to be forced to sell those back to the depository. The depository is going to pay you 4% less than spot price. That's melt, because they're just going to melt those things down. I don't care whose cool face on it, what kind of a weird wildlife animal, or what kind of something icon. This commemorative coin, it's amazing, right? It's going to be in demand because it's a rare subset of the population. And boy, you really want this thing, right? Depositories don't want it. They're going to melt it down to make a coin or a bar. They don't care whose face is on it. They don't care about the premium. They just need the silver. We should think the same way. Mm-hmm. Our goal is to not overpay for your stuff. Know what your margins are. 8% going in, 0% coming out. Not some weird, I'm going to pay it. Who knows? What is the premium on something when silver is in the 20s and you're paying $80 for it?
Right.
It's like hundreds of percent. I mean, that's insane. And then you don't get that back when you sell it. It's just sad to me, right, that people will trust what people tell them because they think gold and silver is good. Gold and silver is good if you buy the right kind. It can be devastating
is there a difference?
If you buy the wrong kind.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why. And so is there a tax difference between buying rare coins and bullion?
Well, an unscrupulous dealer will tell you that they're non-reportable and you don't have to report your taxes on it, right? Okay, that's shady and illegal. Try not paying taxes if you have growth in anything. Government always wants their capital gains, right? They always want the difference between what you sell it for and your cost basis. You've got to pay a tax on that gain, or you can record the loss as a short-term loss or long-term loss and pass it forward to future tax returns, right? But you have to report your taxes always. Try not doing it. You're going to get audited and you're going to be toast, right? There's no such thing as growth unless it's certain tax-free municipal bonds, right? That you can actually, you even with that, you still have to report it. There's just no tax on it by law. You have to pay taxes on this growth. So don't believe that story.
Yeah. So the only people that say that bullion you pay taxes on and other things you don't are the people that are lying to you to say that you just hide what you have done, right?
Yeah. Just because something might be dealer non-reportable, which means it stays private when you own it, a dealer doesn't have to report that you bought something. Sometimes a dealer has to report when you sell it, not all the time. But all the time, you have to report it on your taxes if there's a gain, right? So take the dealer out of it. You always have to pay your taxes. Sometimes things are dealer reportable, sometimes they're not.
Right. Okay. That's good. That's good to know. That's good to know. And so and any other insight for anybody as they're going through this financial upheaval?
Yeah, I mean, insight would just be wisdom. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't fear. God's got this. He's in control. Prophets are talking about it. The politicians are talking about it. There is a reset coming. We're seeing what's happening with Trump's policies. They're very, very good. I'm excited about this executive order. If you allocate correctly, you don't have to fear. Right? If you don't do anything and just hope that the storm goes away, it's like, yeah, I probably might be a little bit scared. Your portfolio might erode. But you don't have to if you allocate properly. And this is why you and I, every 2 weeks, like clockwork, we're going to shout it from the rooftops. There's options, there's wisdom, there's discernment that God gives us to navigate through this with a smile on your face.
Amen.
Right? But don't let fear cause you to do nothing. That's what fear does. Cause you to do nothing or cause you to make the wrong decision. We don't want either one of those.
No question about it. Yeah. Well, that's so awesome, guys. So, hey, so again, the easiest thing to do is make sure you get that free consultation just to understand your specific circumstance, because you may have a 401k or IRA, or you have real estate, or you have any treasures you have. Make sure you understand what you could and couldn't do. and how precious metals might fit in, and why why silver is better than gold, and the ratio, all that type of stuff you need to understand. Make sure you get your free consultation. Easiest way is to call Kirk, 720-605-3900. He is a financial consultant. We'll call you and have that free consultation. You can also go to kepm.com/B2T. Anything else, Kirk?
No, you covered it all. It was a great show today.
All right. God bless you, and thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Guys, isn't that is awesome to be able to understand and get your specific feedback, right? That's something that not a lot of people offer, is that you actually get to understand for your specific information, right? I always talk about God speaks to you. God, my sheep hear my voice, and he speaks specifically to you about your calling, right? And that's what you need to do from a financial perspective. You need to people need to understand what you have and how you can ask questions specific. So get those specific questions answered at 720-605-3900. Let's get back to this exciting thing that's going on with Patrick Byrne and what he revealed. This is new information right now. So we know, if you look back at this, let me get back to this screen here. So we already know that we have the Venezuela, Serbia, China, probably with Iran being involved. Russia knows a little bit, but those are the main things. Now the question is, when did the CIA get involved? When did the globalists from the West get involved in taking over our elections? Right? Were they involved in this? The answer is yes. And this is brand new information coming out. And Tulsi Gabbard's getting massive pressure not to tell people that you just focused on China and Iran and Venezuela. Make them the bad guys. Don't say anything about our internal problems that happened with the stolen election. And here's another take on this. Let's listen.
Tulsi Gabbard is a real standout star of late, and people will soon understand why, won't they?
They will, and I'll even go a little bit farther. And again, this is me not reading tea leaves, but sort of, I'm distant, but they're talking to a lot of people I know, and and so I kind of know where they're.
I think that's key, is that all the people that have flipped with Patrick and other patriots, right? So he knows all these people and all the people around this and what they've done in Gitmo and what the research they've done, and they've used a lot of his research to figure some of this stuff out. You'll hear that some of his people or some of the people he knows have done analysis on what Doge came up with. So this is a real key to understand that you're listening to an expert here, a technology expert. He's one of the founders of some of the Bitcoin technology and doing some of the major exchange things with Bitcoin early on. This guy's a technical brilliant guy. It's a round technical brilliant guy, almost like an Elon, right? Elon Musk and his team. So you got to listen to Patrick Byrne when he's talking. And so let's listen to what he's hearing about what Tulsi's being pressured not to do. And we need to make our voices heard to make sure that the CIA in America is held responsible for their crimes.
She's come under tremendous pressure to whitewash an aspect of this. And I am not going to whitewash it. And in fact, you have those graphs. You saw me talking about them on Alex Jones the other day, but you already had put them up.
Yeah, and the graphs he's talking about are graphs that just basically show the George Soros USAID and how it's all related into our supposed these NGOs are supposed to be helping with election integrity, and they're doing just the opposite. Okay,
my understanding. I don't know. Are they?
Yeah, my audience has seen them. They're familiar with them.
Yeah. What the big shock has been, I've been seeing for 4 years, describing this as a chain of command that is Venezuela. It's the Mexican cartels, Venezuela, which is a cartel. Venezuela.
I forgot about the Mexican cartels. It's a big deal. So Venezuela is funding the Mexican cartels. Mexican cartels with their human trafficking and drug trafficking, making massive money, paying back to Venezuela, supporting them. Then you go up to China, right, and Serbia and China.
Venezuela, which is a cartel, the Venezuelan government, Iran, and China. And I thought that was the chain of command of what we're up against. In a way it is, but on 2020, what happened was the CIA came in. The CIA worked with Venezuela and hacked 2020. And in fact, the CIA and there's a CIA, they're in cahoots with China, I guess. And even worse, well, you want me to stop? You want to respond to that before I give you the next play?
And I'll respond to that a little bit right now, and that this comes back to why they started with FISA equals the start, what Q said, right? Started with Russia, started with the Crossfire Hurricane, because you have John Brennan, who was the head of the CIA, basically the one that was pushing this whole hoax and trying to put Hillary in, keep President Trump out, and then when Trump got in, to try to take him out, right? And so this is a CIA operation they tried to take him out all kinds of ways. Obviously, having the electors not vote for him, all these things they did before. I was all stressed out and reporting on it every night about how they were trying to keep Trump out of even taking office on January 20th, 2017. And then they had leak after leak after leak, and all these enemies of the people being part of the Trump administration, right? So he had infiltrators everywhere, all the rhinos around him. And then they tried to take him out with the Russia investigation with Mueller. When that didn't work, they went to impeachment 1. That didn't work, they went to impeachment 2. So the CIA, Brennan, was trying to take him out for 4 straight years. And now we're getting detailed information about exactly how they funded it and how they were involved directly with all the funding to make 2020 happen. And it was all done by our own government trying to overthrow Trump.
The next card.
Well, I was just going to say, and that's included in this report. It stayed in the report.
Is it? I don't know.
Now, this is an uncomfortable part of the interview where they're both talking about 2 different reports. She's talking about a report that which was really more just the graphic and everything. He's talking about the report that's going to be coming out, that Tulsi's going to be coming out to declass this. And they're trying to pressure her to only talk about China, Iran, Venezuela, Mexican cartels, and not talk about the CIA, right? And so they talk about they're confused. He's thinking about the report that's going to be coming out. And this happens twice. It'll happen a little bit later, but let's continue.
I don't know. Do you know what's in the report?
I guess that's what remains to be seen.
What happened was I heard they were going nuts. I'm going to tell you the truth. And Flynn told me don't protect these people anymore. So here it is. The truth is, as those charts show, in July of 2009, the CIA started funding. And this all came out. Alex Jones was a little confused in our conversation. It was not a Doge report. But Elon, one of the things Doge did was it surfaced data that the public can now come in and research.
This is another great insight, guys, that we're getting. Is that Doge did a lot of stuff to find fraud, et cetera, but a lot of stuff, they just surfaced information up that the public can research. And this is where you become with brilliant people and teams or people that Patrick knows that can actually research those things. And that's what he's talking about here. Doge brought a bunch of information up and ready, and then the public could research themselves. This is when they get a technical person to pull these maps together that they're just talking about, that they posted. That basically just shows USAID, George Soros, linking to our U.S. organizations, and they're supposed to be protecting our organizations, but do the opposite.
Themselves. So we had a researcher go in, brother of a guy you know, went in, great researcher. He went through this Doge data, and he found this remarkable thing. There's a company, an NGO in Arlington, Virginia, SEPS, that going to be a lot of focus on it.
So SEPS, Arlington, Virginia, NGO, funded by USAID, which is basically the front to the CIA. And this is how they got involved and pushed us in 26 other countries, our own CIA.
It's been staffed forever by George Soros, and the Open Society staffs it. And the money comes in from the USAID, which we all know now is what? What's the USAID? It's a front for the CIA. It's all
yeah.
And they have since July 2009 been spreading these computer systems in 26 nations.
Guys, just think about this. Now we're going all the way back from 2020 all the way back to 2009. 2004 is when Chavez actually fraudulently won that election, right? So it was less than 5 years later that the CIA is working with enemies of the state, working with Venezuela to start taking this technology where Serbia changes the votes with the virtual machine feature across 26 nations that we modernized, and actually each one of these lurched to the left toward socialism, toward away from conservative values, away from God. Let's listen.
And they call it modernizing. They go into countries from Ecuador to Estonia and say, we're going to help you modernize your elections. No more of these silly paper elections. Oh, that's so old fashioned. We have these beautiful computers you can run your elections on. Billions of dollars we have spent putting Smartmatic in 26 nations, and every nation within 2 or 3 years of that has this left lurch in their elections. In other words, the CIA has flipped 26 nations left. A total of 72 nations have been affected.
So you have to ask yourself, why would the CIA want everybody to be left/socialist, right? And the answer is they need to destabilize these countries, because conservative values make sense. The truth and God make sense. And so they have to put all these crazy ideas and get crazy people and control the media to throw left propaganda at you. And left is even the wrong word. It's anti-God propaganda at you constantly and constantly and constantly. And this is why the CIA, who's anti-God, basically because they're part of the Luciferian cabal, the Luciferian globalist, want to make the world to be fighting each other, and that they won't know. They'd make us a left versus right thing all the time. Left starts losing everything because the ideas don't make sense, and then they call every racist, and they basically put these candidates in that will continue to give all their racist narratives, and they're all fake anti-God narratives to get this 50-50 population fighting each other. So it's a left versus right thing. So we fight with each other and don't recognize it's the elites against we the people. That's what it is. Good versus evil. But the elites, this is how they do this. This is how they controlled and got to these 50-50 fighting in all these different countries, not just us.
The others were probably China flipping them left. But it's our CIA is deeply involved in this. And they were trying to get they were trying to get Tulsi to take that out. We're going to see if they succeeded.
So again, we're going to get D class on it. The good news is the good news is we're getting a D class. We're going to get the actual election fraud that happened in 2020 is going to be coming out with not undeniable information showing that they flipped and Joe Biden did not win the election, right? Not to mention all the way down to your school board. And that wasn't just 2020. That's been for 20 years. Basically since the CIA in 2009 wanted to destroy this country because the globalists they want to go to a new world order. Remember, that is the key here. They want to move to a new world order. You can't have a one world government and a new world order with a strong United States that's independent and doesn't want to trample on everybody else, right? So they have to make us trample on everybody else with the cabal military. Using our military as a cabal, as their globalist enforcement arm. That's ending now with Trump. And that's got them panicked, very panicked. And this is exciting. This is an exciting time to be alive, guys, to see this happening. And so let's finish this up.
We'll see. Lots remain to be seen. Wow. Patrick, you just dropped a whole load of information on us. This is good news. So step forward. I have that report that you're referencing related to SEPs. I'm going to get clearance to release that on my Substack.
He's surprised they're talking about the different things. She's just talking about the graphics and the public information that we have. It's not the report that's coming out from Tulsi that's supposed to be coming out soon. Oops. There he is, all kind of surprised.
Very damning to our very own agency. Patrick Byrne, thank you so much for pulling over. I know you're traveling. You pulled over. I would have loved to have been at the birthday of the great Ron Paul. I'm jealous. I love the shirt. We will we'll siphon through this. We'll touch back this week. Thank you so much, sir, for jumping in with us.
36 nations left involved in this. And they were trying to get they were trying to get Tulsi to take that out. We're going to see if they succeeded.
And that's the key point. I just want to let you know. So they're trying to get Tulsi to take out of the report the 26 nations that our CIA screwed, and our own nation, right? Our own CIA against we the people and for the globalists, and basically trying to get us to lurch left. Has that not happened? Look what's happened in the last 20 years. How quickly did it happen? Because of the selection machines. Our own CIA, since July 2009, making us from the school boards all the way to the president lurch left socialist communism for the last 20 years. And now we know why. And now we know how they did it exactly. Pretty exciting. I wanted to end with this part here where she's talking about a report. He's thinking she's talking about the Tulsi report. So that's a little confusion right here.
We'll see. Lots remain to be seen. Wow. Patrick, you just dropped a whole load of information on us. This is good news. So step forward. I have that report that you're referencing related to SEPs. I'm going to get clearance to release that on my Substack so that everyone can come through that and familiarize themselves with what you're talking about.
You have the report already?
Yeah.
Wow. Mazel tov.
No, not the report given to Tulsi, but the open source information related to SEPs with all those graphs.
Oh, yeah. You should put that up and show people. It's very clear. It was SEPs. You should focus on SEPs. The creation of the people of Soros, the money from the CIA, USAID, then SEPs spread this technology everywhere. It's sickening.
That is sickening.
It is sickening. Guys, that's a real key point here, is that this SEPs organization, I think it's CEPS. I think they had that correct on the subtitles there. CEPS. So do your research on that. I'll be putting some of that in the show notes. Again, go to blessedteach.com, blessed with the number 2teach.com. Right there, sign up for the free show notes. I'll have all links to everything I'm showing you here, as well as a summary of the show. SEPs is what has the CIA used through as an NGO, a George Soros NGO, no matter, funded by USAID, as we know. So we're using our own money against us and our own CIA against us to basically destroy our conservative values, destroy our godly country, and create a one world government, and be working for the Luciferian cabal of globalists. That is the story here, and it is finally coming out. And this is why 107 is warning us that we are going to be moving into a time period where they may realize they're losing. We've kept them to the point where they think they may be able to win. Once they know they've lost, this is when they will pull out the stops of trying to bring us into world war and create chaos everywhere. And the Lord's telling me it's going to be chaos. And that he's actually going to add to the chaos to make sure they don't achieve their plans, right? So buckle up. This is going to be exciting, but also intense. Get close to the Lord at this point in time, because intense things are coming. Very, very intense things are coming. But it's all goodness, because exposure of evil is happening right before our eyes. A couple other things I'll cover before we move over. We only have a few more minutes left before we move over to, remember, the Word and Worship. That's going to be in a different channel. So make sure that you go to Word and Worship channel. It's not on any, I know you might be listening to one of the 25 platforms. We go to all kinds of podcasts. We go to Apple and Spotify and SoundCloud and Podbean. And then we also go to BitChute and Broadband. If you're watching on any of those platforms, the only place you're going to be able to do Word and Worship is on the Faith and Freedom platform or on the new Rumble channel, right? Same with a lot of stuff going forward. It's going to be only on the Faith and Freedom channel. And so make sure that you are make sure that you download that app and bookmark faithandfreedom.com. Faith and Freedom. And we just went live, by the way, with faithandfreedom.org. Faith with the N, freedom.org. That's the ministry website. And so I'll be talking about that more later. But here, this is what literally a DOJ that was working for Biden was telling people, what the heck are you guys doing? WTF are you guys doing? Black and white evidence that Biden admin knew auto pen pardons were legally flawed. In fact, this whole article goes through that. And at the end, it literally says, he said, what are you guys doing? This is illegal, said Howell. So this is this is a senior most career lawyer in the DOJ, like Merrick Garland's top guy, basically saying, what are you guys doing? This is illegal. So yeah, they're in trouble. EPA administration Zeldin drops hammer on Biden's $27 billion Green New Scam. So finally, the EPA has canceled more than $29 billion in federal grants around the whole climate change and the Green New Scam. So this is great news of us getting out of some of those things. He noted that the total amount scrapped is nearly 3 times the EPA's annual operation budget of about $10 billion. Over $29 billion for grants have canceled. Our operating budget annually is about $10 billion. That is crazy. This is the type of massive overspending as they try to destroy this country. Hey, the Texas legislature is about ready to vote on the new congressional map, so it will give some more seats to the Republicans. This totally makes sense. They need to play hardball because, especially in Illinois and other states, they've done this in a way worse way. This is not gerrymandering, salamandering type looks on a map. You can go look at that yourself. But the left is pushing hard to try to stop them from doing what just makes sense. Election Department acts against Loudoun County as school punishes boys in retaliation for attacking trans policy. So this is, again, just the whole trans battle is going to continue. And this is part of what they did. That's the reason we have so much craziness like men playing women's sports is because of the selection machines. And they've changed our culture by doing that. That is an amazing time period. Guys, this is also just a graph of showing what silver's done since I started talking to you about it when it was $18, right? And when it was $26 as well, it's gone up to $38. It's just down below that right now, but that could be a great buy compared to what could happen based upon that February where 401ks can accept crypto and real estate and most likely commodities like silver. So this is exciting. This is a time to make sure you're not one day late. Don't be one day late. That's why this is why the U.S. debt clock saying, hey, look at this, guys. In 5 years, we think silver is going to be at $15.56. I'm trying to find a better investment from going from $38 to $15.56. You don't not buy because it's not 34 anymore at 38 when it's going to get to 15.56 in 5 years if this is right? So that's call Kirk Elliott, 720-605-3900. All right, guys, we're moving over now. This is the Secretary Marco Rubio in a 22-second clip. Let's listen.
By the way, President Trump is the only leader in the world, acknowledged by all the Europeans, the only leader in the world that can talk to both of them and bring them both to a meeting is Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. He's the only one. And the fact that he's willing to do it is something that every American, including Democrats, should be happy that we have a peace president. We should be proud that we have a president that's made peace a priority in his administration.
Amen. Amen. All right, guys. See you over on the Word and Worship channel. Again, you'll just go into Rumble and type in Word with the N, Worship. You can also find it. We'll be live on Faith and Freedom TV. That may be a great place to go watch it right now. Just go faithandfreedom.tv. And you'll see right there on the live channels, Word and Worship, Praise and Prayer and Word and Worship channel. We'll be live on there and Rumble here just shortly. Or you can come backstage. Those are the 3 places you can watch it. God bless you. And we'll talk to everyone soon.
Christian soldiers, we are in this together. We are blessed to teach. We are neighbors, we believe. We are blessed to be
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.